This week's video is on section 3.3, which is all about multiplying polynomials. We're going to start by looking at the 3 strategies for multiplying polynomials. In order to do this, I chose one example that we're going to use for all 3 strategies. That example is over here. We have 2 binomials multiplied together, 3x plus 5 times 2x minus 4. Let's go ahead and start with the first strategy. Our first strategy is the standard multiplication algorithm. This is the exact same algorithm that you've probably learned in your own schools for how to multiply 2-digit numbers together. Let's go ahead and see how we can apply it to polynomials. We're going to go ahead and arrange our polynomials like we normally would for the standard multiplication algorithm, where we put one on top of the other. Then, just like we normally would, we're going to focus on the units place. Here it's the constant place of the bottom polynomial. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to multiply the negative 4 times the 5 and then the negative 4 times 3x. When we go ahead and do that, I end up getting negative 12x minus 20. Now, we would put a 0 placeholder in the constant section here because we're moving on to the 2x. So we're doing 2x times 5 and 2x times 3x. Again, though, don't forget that placeholder. You should have gotten 6x squared plus 10x and then plus the 0 for that placeholder. Now, we go ahead and add these two together. When you add these together, you should get your final answer of 6x squared minus 2x minus 20. And that is how you'd use the standard multiplication algorithm. Let's go ahead and look at another strategy for multiplying polynomials. I'm going to give you a lot of different tools that you can choose from, because while some may work best for you this week, others may work best for you next week. And what works for you may not work the best for your peer. Our second strategy is going to be using an area model. For our area model, we're actually going to use a rectangular box. I like to just do mine more as squares, but basically what we're going to do is we're going to let one of the binomials that we're multiplying, and this would work for any polynomial, but binomial in this case, so 3x plus 5, we can let that be the height of our rectangle, and then the 2x minus 4 would be the base. So basically we know that the area of a rectangle is base times height, so I'm going to go ahead and put those on to the base and height of the rectangle. Here you can see that I now have 3x plus 5, representing the height of my rectangle, and 2x minus 4, representing the base. Now, to find the area of a rectangle, we always do base times height. So if we actually find each of these individual areas and sum them together, we would get the area of the entire thing. Let's think about this. This top left rectangle has dimensions 2x times 3x. What's 2x times 3x to represent the area here? That's right, it's 6x squared. Go ahead and see if you can fill out the rest of the rectangle by figuring out the area of each of the individual little mini rectangles within. Pause the video and then come back to check your answer. Hopefully, these are the individual areas you got. Now, we know that we need to sum the 4 individual rectangles areas together to get the area of the entire rectangle. Notice, this diagonal here actually is like terms, meaning that we can combine the 10x and the negative 12x. So if we write this as one final sum, we are going to end up getting 6x squared minus 2x minus 20. Which makes sense because we multiplied the exact same 2 polynomials that we multiplied for the standard multiplication algorithm when we got that same answer. Nice job. Let's move on to our final strategy for multiplying polynomials. I'm sure many of you have actually heard of this one, or at least some variation of it. The third strategy for multiplying polynomials is called either the distributive property or foiling. Foiling works when we are multiplying together binomials, basically two polynomials that both have two terms. If we want to extend this process, though, to polynomials that aren't necessarily binomials, we would need to use more so the distributive property to make sure that we take into account all of the different terms being multiplied together. Now, for those of you who haven't heard of foiling before, what does it stand for? It stands for first, outer, inner, last. It's basically just a mnemonic to help you memorize the distributive property for multiplying together binomials. So if you know the distributive property, you could technically get by without ever actually memorizing FOIL, although FOIL is a great thing to have in the back of your mind when making sure that you are multiplying together all the different combinations that we need. So let's go ahead and look quickly at how we would do foiling and or the distributive property with these two binomials. The first thing we'd want to do is multiply the two first terms together. That would be our 3x and our 2x. When I do that, I get 6x squared. Next, we want to multiply the two outer terms together. Outer means the first term from the first set of parentheses, and then the last term from the last set of parentheses. Notice they're the outside two terms. When I do that, I get negative 12x. Next, we have our inner terms. This is going to be the 5 multiplied with the 2x. Multiplying those together gives me positive 10x. And then we're down to our last terms being multiplied together. So the 5 and the negative, that gives me negative 20. Just like we've learned in the past, we should always simplify our final answer, and to do so, we would want to combine the like terms. Notice here, the negative 12x and the 10x both are a single x variable, so we can combine those. And if we do so, we're going to end up getting the exact same answer that we got using the other two strategies. 6x squared minus 2x minus 20. So you now have three strategies that you can use for multiplying together polynomials. There may be some cases where one works better than another, but you should be able to make them all work for you and choose the one that makes the most sense to you. Let's go ahead and try just a few examples to make sure that you are understanding. I want you guys to go ahead and choose your favorite strategy that we just learned to multiply these two binomials together. 9x minus 5 times 3x plus 4. When you have an answer, go ahead, unpause the video to see if it matches mine. Hopefully, you guys got 27x squared plus 21x minus 20. If you didn't get that, take a second, try to go back and see if you can figure out where you went wrong. If you got it, let's go ahead and move forward and look at two special cases of multiplying together polynomials. For each of these special cases, let's go ahead and look at an example. For the first one, we're going to look at a plus b in parentheses squared. Now, last week, we learned that you cannot distribute the exponent if there's addition in the parentheses. Let's look at why that's the case. What does this actually mean? What is a plus b in parentheses squared representing? That's right. It actually means that we're doing a plus b times a plus b. This is a great example of two binomials being multiplied together, which means we can use any of the strategies that we learned previously in this lesson. Go ahead, pause the video, and see what you get when you do this multiplication. Hopefully, you got a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. This actually has a special name. That's why it's a special case of multiplying polynomials. This is called a perfect square trinomial. Let's go ahead and look at the second special case. This time I want you to multiply a plus b times a minus b. You may notice something when you do this multiplication. That's right, the two middle terms actually cancel out. That means we only have a squared minus b squared for our final answer. This special case of multiplying polynomials is called the difference of squares, and we tend to use it quite often in algebra. I would love for us to practice just a couple more examples before finishing up the video. Here's two examples for you to try. Again, both of them are multiplying two polynomials together, so you now have quite a few different strategies. You can go back to one of the first three strategies we learned, or you can technically use what we've learned now about these special cases of multiplying polynomials together. Pause the video, and again, don't unpause until you have a final answer for both. Hopefully, these are the two answers you got. For part A, you should have gotten 9x squared minus 90x plus 225. And then for part B, that's a difference of squares, you got the 4x squared minus 9. And that is all we have for section 3.3.